Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my top 10 worst video games of 2013. We're starting off the top 10 and top 20s list right with the worst games, because of course that is the most entertaining list to do, at least for me, because I like ragging on the games and movies that I played and watched of the year that I thought were just, oh god, so bad. So, you know what? Let's just get straight into it. There's no honorable mentions or dishonorable mentions. There's none of that. We're going to get straight into the top 10 with, of course, the number 10. Star Trek, the video game. When I reviewed this game, I gave it an average score. I gave it around a 6 out of 10. But the thing is that after some considerable thought and playing it a little bit more, I realized that it's just not a very well made game. Now, I do not hate it. I don't. I would probably give it around a 4 or a 5 now. I don't completely hate it. But damn, there was so much potential for an excellent Star Trek game. They could have made a game where you could explore different worlds, or make it kind of like Mass Effect, where it's still kind of linear, but you can go to different worlds here and there and, actually communicate with other people and do like side missions or something. But no, you got a completely just generic third-person shooter, cover-based shooter that's like Gears of War, except you're shooting like these big lizard slash dinosaur things. That's it. It's the same thing we've been playing for so long, and there's really nothing different. The only thing different is that you get to pick up like a phaser. That's it. You get a phaser. That's the only thing that's different about this third-person shooter. And this wouldn't be too big of a problem if the gunplay was actually fun, which at first it was okay, but then it got more and more repetitive while you're shooting the same enemies over and over again. And of course they slip in a terrible stealth mechanic which does not work, and then sometimes they'll throw a human enemy, which means you'll have to stun them besides shoot them, which is the same thing except you're just holding a different button down and then letting it go. And let's not forget that this game is hilariously buggy. There are so many bugs in this game. I mean, some of them are really funny, don't get me wrong, like the huge Spock one, which I think a lot of people know about. Look it up if you don't know. And of course the gameplay glitches. The only thing I would say is actually pretty well done. The only two things is the story, which is actually not that bad, pretty good. And the cast. The voice acting here is really good because they actually got the cast members from the movies. But besides that, we could have had a great Star Trek game to go with the great movies that have been coming out the last couple years. But no, we just got a pretty mediocre to bad one. So there you go. Star Trek, the video game, is my number 10. The Walking Dead, Survival Instinct. This is actually very similar to Star Trek the video game, meaning that it had a lot of potential to be a very well-made survival horror game where you actually have to use your wits to outsmart the zombies and get out of there. But no, it wasn't that. Also, when it first came out, I didn't hate it, just like Star Trek the video game. I gave it around a 6, an average score, while everybody else was dogging on it, giving it like 2s and 3s and even 1s, saying it's one of the worst games ever. I was like, you know what? It's not great. It's very low budget. They obviously didn't have much time to develop the game. You know what? I didn't hate it. But still, even though they didn't have a huge development cycle for this game, they could have just made a well-developed game, besides trying to do all these different ideas in such a short amount of time, and then put it up for sale. There were some really good ideas that if they actually had a 2 to 3 year development cycle, then this could have been a pretty good game with great graphics, really good gameplay, a pretty decent story, just a really good game. But no, it had a 1 year development cycle. It became a really crappy melee-based first-person shooter, and it just was not very good. The graphics are really ugly in this game. I mean, some poor textures and some really hilariously bad zombie animations. Also, the story, there was no reason for this story. I mean, I love Merle and Daryl. They're great characters in the Walking Dead TV show. But what in the hell, man? There was no reason for this story. It doesn't even lead up into the first season of The Walking Dead. It just cuts off and it's just like, yeah, that's the end. Well, were they trying to make a sequel? Well, I hope it's better than this, because oh boy, if there's a sequel to this and it's the same thing, I ain't playing it. And like I said, they had so many good ideas, like being able to recruit survivors and actually having to stop when you're traveling to pick up supplies and stuff. It's a good idea. It is. Even the stealth is a good idea, but none of it was done well. So I give them credit. Terminal Reality, I'm sorry you're closed down. I give you credit. You made a damn good Ghostbusters game, but you didn't make a damn good Walking Dead game. So, hey, leave it to Telltale. They know how to do it. So there you go. Walking Dead Survival Instinct is my number 9. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. This game sucks. This game was the final game for the Summer of Arcade of 2013, and I was so looking forward to it. It was probably my most anticipated besides Brothers, which I was really looking forward to. But this game could have been great. It could have been an awesome co-op multiplayer brawler. Oh, it could have been so much fun, but it ended up being a terrible game. At first, the brawling combat is very much like a Batman Arkham Asylum. It's actually kind of fun, but then it gets super repetitive, fighting the same characters over and over again, and then you realize it's just a carbon copy, except they didn't get anything right from Batman. The upgrading, you don't feel like you're actually upgrading at all. The story itself is silly. The dialogue is not funny at all, at least, in my opinion, it's not. The game is really ugly looking and very glitchy, and I know it's only $15, so you have to lower your expectations, but hell, there's games out there that are like $10 that are full retail games, like stuff like Fallout or Bioshock. You can get now for like $10 that are way better than this, so don't give me that as an excuse. And the worst thing about the gameplay, in my opinion, is the camera. The camera has a mind of its own. It'll get stuck into walls or get really close to your turtle at the wrong opportunities. I mean, oh my god, I'm fighting a dude and then the camera gets really close. Luckily, you do get to control it, but when you're not controlling it, it has a mind of its own. So that's a good thing. You actually control the camera. Now, I've been really dogging on this game. There are a couple of good parts. Like, one, if you do like the brawling combat, there is actually plenty of it. There's a lot of content in this game. Also, if you do like it, it's highly replayable, especially since you get to play with 3 other friends. So you got that. And even though I didn't care for the combat, it's not bad. It's okay at times. Even though it gets repetitive, it's alright. It's not horrible, but it could have been so much better. So there you go. TMNT Out of the Shadows is my number 8. Fireburst. There's really not much to say about this game. If you don't know what it is, here's an explanation. It's an Xbox Live Arcade racing game that tries to be really fast, but ends up being a really garbage racing game. And really, the racing itself isn't that terrible in this game. The controls are okay. It is actually kind of fast at times. The problem with this game is that it's $10, barely has any content whatsoever, and it's extremely glitchy. The frame rate chugs. I mean, it really chugs at times. And there's parts where if you get too far in the game, you'll actually get to a part where it'll erase your data or it'll freeze your game. Luckily, I only got the frozen game one besides the delete save file one. But it doesn't really matter because I wouldn't play this game anymore. I played it for a couple hours and I was done. It's a decent racing game on the PC from what I've heard. That is absolutely horrible on the Xbox Live Arcade because of all of the glitches. Also, there's no one playing online, so don't expect to be playing anybody online. So, my number 7 is Fireburst on Xbox Live Arcade. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Nickelodeon game. This one also sucks. Yeah, that's right. 2, count them, 2 TMNT games that sucked in the same year. Hallelujah. We have finally reached enlightenment for terrible TMNT games. As the title would suggest, this game is based on the TV show that's going on right now on Nickelodeon, which I think Out of the Shadows was kind of based on, but not completely. This one is completely based on it. And let me tell you what, right now, when you see this gameplay, you're going, wait, this is a 2013 game that's on a retail disc for $40? This looks like a PS2 game from 2004. And it looks like maybe the developers were searching through their trash can of crappy TMNT games, and they forgot that they have a game that they never released in 2004. So they put it on a disc for all the kiddies to enjoy now, and they sent that shit out so you can play it now. Enjoy, kiddies. You got a terrible brawler. A absolutely horrendous brawler that is mind-numbing, has terrible AI. It's not fun. The dialogue is absolutely awful. It's so bad. And the jokes, the characters, just nothing in this game is good. The brawling is just you press X, 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 and sometimes you could switch a button, but you don't need to because you'll just gang up on the freaking Foot Clan and it'll be done. They'll be done. You will win. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. It's just a X button pressing game. You just do that and then you'll win. And then you'll want to kill yourself. Put a gun to your head because this game is horrible. Ooh. And it's only my number 6, so it can only get better from here, right? So there you go. There's TMNT Nickelodeon. Enjoy. So yeah, my number 6 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Nickelodeon. And I'm not kidding you. This game looks garbage. It is garbage. Do not play it. It's horrible. Oh, God. Fighter Within, which is the sequel to my worst game of 2010, Fighter Uncaged. And guess what? It's just as unresponsive and unentertaining as that game was. But this game uses the power of the Kinect 2 for the Xbox One, so it has to be better, right? Well, guess what? Like I said, no. It's unresponsive. You will be throwing your arms and legs around until the cows come home. But guess what? You will not be accomplishing a thing. Sure, your on-screen character will be flailing his arms around too, but you won't feel the impact. You won't feel like you're actually fighting someone. You'll feel like you're just punching air, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're not feeling like you're actually connecting at all. Which is funny to say. That's the reason why this fucking camera is called the Kinect, right? So you can connect with the game? Well, guess what? I don't feel like I'm connected at all, Microsoft. Fix your thing. Or better yet, how about Ubisoft? You make a goddamn good freaking Kinect game. I'm tired of this, man. The story mode is absolutely horrendous with some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard in a video game and just some of the dumbest reasons why we have to fight. I mean, like, hey, I need to be a bodyguard. Okay, let's fight. What? Why? The characters are all stereotypes. Of course, all the women are really hot, and of course, all the men look like Ryan Gosling. And of course, the voice acting is absolutely horrendous, just like the story. But I will say this. The graphics, considering it's on the Xbox One, look really good. I mean, hey, it's on Xbox One, so they can get more power from the system. It looks pretty good. The character models, the environments themselves, it's really shiny, really nice looking. But besides that, it's a game that you'll buy. If you do buy it, you'll buy it and then want to sell it immediately like I did. So there you go. Fighter Within is my number 5. At least it's not number 1. Sorry, Fighter Uncaged. Aliens, Colonial Marines. Yeah, you know this one was coming, and sure, this might not be as bad as something like Fighter Within and even that TMNT game from Nickelodeon, but this was such a big disappointment because I wasn't looking forward to either of those games. I wasn't. But this game I was so excited for. Hell, I bought the $100 collector's edition because I was so excited. Because I love the movies. I love the second movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And Gearbox, besides Duke Nukem Forever, makes some damn good games. But man, oh man, they dropped the ball big time. Now, before I get to the bad stuff, let me talk about the good stuff. There's actually only one. The sound design. It sounds like an Aliens game. All the guns, all the creature sounds, all that. It sounds like an Aliens game, or a movie, I should say. But besides that, everything else, every single thing else, was a big disappointment. The gunplay was repetitive. It didn't feel like you were actually a Colonial Marine. It felt like you were like Master Chief fighting all these ridiculously dumb aliens that just jump around and try to swing at you, but miss completely. They'll do all these ridiculous animations where I'm like, what the hell is going on? I know this is a running thing, but this game is incredibly glitchy. And at times, it just jumps in difficulty where it comes out of nowhere and aliens are whooping your ass. I'm like, what is going on? The AI has been dumb to this point, but now out of nowhere, they're whooping my ass. And I have like 3 other Marine partners with me. What is going on? The graphics are just piss poor, especially since Gearbox knows how to make a game look pretty damn good. I mean, Duke Nukem aside, Brothers in Arms looks great, and so does Borderlands. But this game, oh god, I mean, the character models, the environments, even the aliens, they all look ugly. Texturing is bad. The gameplay itself doesn't even look that good. The frame rate actually kind of chugs at times too. It's just not a fun game. And I will admit, there's a couple parts that are actually pretty good. The whole stealth section, where you're actually trying to avoid all these alien creatures that actually respond to sound, really good moment. But besides that, everything else is terrible, especially since you'll be fighting human enemies throughout most of the game. What the fuck? Why? Why am I fighting enemies that are human? I want to fight fucking aliens. It's called aliens, not humans, colonial marines. Oh, God, I'm getting pissed. Alright, so my number 4 is aliens, colonial marines. Heavy Fire, Shattered Spear. Like Fireburst, not a lot of people are going to know what this game is. They might recognize the title Heavy Fire because there was like 15 games on the Wii called Heavy Fire. But this game is on the 360. It was a budget title. It came out last year in January. And I had the opportunity, no, the displeasure of playing this game. And let me tell you, if you like on-rails shooters on Xbox where you actually have to control the reticle with your freaking right stick, then you're in Heavy Fire heaven, because that's exactly what this game is. It's a hard to control, boring as hell, extremely short on-rail shooter where all you do is shoot things with the right analog stick. You just hover over it. Sometimes you could throw a grenade or use a different gun, but for the most part, it is a boring, frustrating piece of shit on-rail shooter. I cannot emphasize this more. It is a horrible game. Let me explain a part in this game that really frustrated me, and I almost threw my controller against a wall, which I never usually do, but I almost did it in this part. This is the part where you have to take down these battleships, and you have to keep shooting these little targets on there, which, by the way, like I said, the reticle is very hard to control. Even if you lower the aim sensitivity, it's still very hard to control. So you're swinging this freaking circle around pretty much, trying to shoot all the targets, and they're killing you. They're taking down your helicopter that you're on, and you keep dying and dying and dying and dying, and I'm on the easiest difficulty too, by the way, and I keep dying and dying, and I'm on that thing for about an hour and a half. Luckily, I passed the part without having a heart attack because I was getting so freaking angry. But then I realized, what am I doing? Why am I playing this game? All you do was aim your little circle reticle to people or vehicles or whatever, and you press the right trigger. That's all you do. You never feel like you're actually contacting an enemy. It doesn't feel like you're actually shooting anyone. You feel like you're just shooting at pretty much dots. That's it. You might as well be shooting at the wall in a game. That's how it feels in this game. It is one of the worst on-rail shooters I've ever played. Do not play this game. It's easy achievements if you can pass the 2-3 hours of just absolutely mind-numbing pain. So there you go. Heavy Fire, Shattered Spear is my number 3 worst game of 2013. Fast and Furious Showdown. What do I have to say about this game? Fast and Furious Showdown, if you really want to know exactly what I think of this game, watch my review. But if you want a little short synopsis, let me tell you. This game, graphically, looks like a PS2 game. It looks like a PS2 game in 2013 on an Xbox 360 and a PS3. What is going on? 2013 gave us brand new consoles that are newer than the 360. And we have games on 360 that look like PS2 games. The CG cutscenes are laughably terrible. They look like PS1 CG cutscenes. Oh my god. Except the CG cutscenes in PS1 had more charm. I mean, what happened? The graphics are horrible in this game. The cars look terrible. The environments are repeated as all hell, and they look crap each and every time they're repeated. Even the effects, like the lighting effects, and even some of the dirt that flies up in the air whenever you're like driving on a dirt ground. Anything. They look terrible. They can't get anything right in the graphics in this game. But the gameplay, oh my god, the gameplay is so terrible. It is repetitive, frustrating as all hell. There are parts where you just have to drive and catch up with a vehicle, and for some reason you're in a big sports car, like this really good sports car, and you can't keep up with a freaking truck. A truck. You can't keep up with a freaking truck in this game. And even when you catch up with the truck, you have to do this part where either Paul Walker, rest in peace, Tyrese Gibson, whoever you're playing as, has to jump out of the car and hang on to a truck or whatever car it is you're chasing after, and actually has to like shimmy across it. It's ridiculous. There are also missions where you have to go and like take down stuff, and you have to rely on your AI partner to do stuff, and the AI is garbage. He'll just run into the wall. I mean, look at my review. You'll see clips where I show that exactly. It is a garbage, just shitty game. And hey, I hate Heavy Fire, but that game was $20. This game was like $50, maybe even $60 when it came out. What an abysmal embarrassment. Who made this game? Whoever did should get fired. This is absolute trash, and you should be ashamed of making games like this, whoever it was. And if you are ashamed, good. You should be. Make a good game next time. So number 2 is Fast and Furious Showdown. Fuck this game. But now we get into the worst. My number 1 worst game of 2013 is Ride to Hell Retribution. Holy mother of God. What in the fuck? Ride to Hell Retribution is not only the worst game of 2013, but it's one of the worst games ever made. Move over E.T., move over Pac-Man on Atari, move over Superman 64. This game is an abysmal, absolutely astonishing piece of trash. You play as Jake, a biker who has to avenge the death of his brother against other bikers. So he has to go and pretty much track down every biker and kill them. I mean, that's a decent premise. I mean, bikers, we haven't really had many biker-themed video games, so that could be cool. Too bad this game has an abysmal story with some of the worst characters of all time. Some really offensive portrayals of women in this game. There's a part, I mean, there's like 5 parts in this game, but there's a part in the beginning that your jaw will drop if you haven't seen anything about this game, where you kill a dude that's harassing a girl, and literally, the transition is you fucking the girl. You have sex with the girl that you just saved from being raped. That's your reward. It's not, oh, thank you, or you have a conversation, then you fuck. No, it's just transition, you're fucking. And then guess what? It's over. You just killed a dude in front of a girl, and then you're just banging her. Let's not forget the gameplay in this game. Oh, the gameplay. I'll give them some credit. They try to do some variety. They give you, of course, bike races where you actually have to, chase down enemies or actually have to race people. And those are terrible, don't get me wrong. You have the brawling combat, which is a lot like Batman Arkham Asylum. And then you have the shooting gameplay, which is a third-person cover-based shooter. So they gave you variety, but too bad that every single one of them is garbage. And whenever it gets into the melee/shooting segments, they last so long, and I was pulling my hair out by the end of it. The AI for all the enemies are ridiculous. They will just rush in and try to kill you. And of course, there's so many of them, so they will eventually kill you if you have it on a normal, hard difficulty. The gunplay is just terrible. The aiming is so hard. The guns don't feel good. It doesn't feel good to shoot any enemies. Also, you could shoot enemies, and it doesn't matter. They won't die unless you hit them in the head. And even some enemies, when you hit them in the head, they won't die. You can shoot them 10 times in the head, and they'll finally die, and you'll waste most of your ammo trying to do that. And like I said, the combat is like Arkham Asylum. If you stripped away all of the layers of good from the combat of Batman Arkham Asylum and had it so that all you had to do is press the X button and you'll win all the time. Now, Batman, that happens a lot in that game too, but there's a lot of style put in that. Here, you press X and he does the same punches, you hear the same sound effects, it's still terrible. And oh boy, the big part of this game is the bike segments, where you actually have to go around and either chase down someone or race someone, like I said, and the controls are some of the worst out there. They're so freaking quick, and you'll just like slide around everywhere, and you'll hit every single thing. And by the way, if you hit 3 things in this game, you will die, you will explode. By the way, did I mention that this game is not even just glitchy, it's just not made well at all. There's so many times where something really silly happens, or there's sound effects that are just completely missing, or there's even graphics in the background that are missing. There's so many terrible blurry textures and horrible facial animations, or animations in general. And there's just so many things that are just awkward about this game. Whenever you knock someone off their bike will continue to drive away and then hit a fence and explode. And then guess what? Even when it explodes, the bike is still there, flying away in the distance. Like, what the hell is going on in this game? I feel like when you put this game in, like the disc is about to make the Xbox explode or something. Like, there's something wrong with this game. Like, how do you make a game this freaking bad? How do you do it? How do you make a game this intolerably horrible. Now, I will admit, at first it was really funny because it was so bad. Even the part where you beat up a guy and then have sex with the girl, it's really funny. But that doesn't last for 15 hours. This game is 15 hours long. It shouldn't have been 5 hours, but it was 15 hours long of the same shit over and over again. Offensive dialogue, horrible graphics. Oh, I thought Fast and Furious was bad? Oh boy. Terrible sound, mostly because it's missing a lot of the sound design, and whenever it does and it actually adds the sound effects, they just don't sound right. They sound very awkward. Also, the voice acting is horrendous. The story is absolute garbage. The gameplay, every single segment of the gameplay is trash. This game was $30 when it came out. It shouldn't have costed anything. It shouldn't have been released. This should have been canceled. Oh my god, this game is horrendous, and that's why I spent over 5 minutes talking about it. It is the worst game of 2013. There you go. I hope you enjoyed it, because I'm about to have a heart attack because I'm so freaking angry right now. Oh boy, this game, so bad. So there you go. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. My top 10 worst games of 2013 is now complete. I took a long time with this. I made sure to take my time with it so I can talk about it and tell you what really is bad. So I hope you enjoyed it. My top 10 worst movies is coming, and also my top 20 best games and movies are coming too. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you and goodbye.